Hey there, friends. This is Still Praying Medic. It is still July 14th, and I'm still talking about QAnon. This is a video on the Five Eyes, based on a thread by our friend Paul Serran. I've done some videos on his threads before. Paul is, by the way, setting up his own YouTube channel. But being Brazilian, he's a little concerned about his accent and how well people would be able to understand him. So for now, he has graciously allowed me to do videos based on his threads. And I saw this yesterday and I really liked it. And I thought I would just run through his thread on the Five Eyes, since it is becoming kind of a bigger issue that Q's been telling us about. Paul says, if you're like me, you probably didn't know that the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand had an intelligence sharing agreement called the Five Eyes. I didn't know about that until I started following Q. So Paul's going to walk us through the history of it, and it actually goes back to World War II, when the fate of the free world was dependent on the Allies and their ability to intercept Nazi German electronic communications. The Germans were developing more sophisticated equipment for communicating, and that meant that we had to develop people who could decode those signals that were transmitted. So decryption became a big thing during World War II. The British turned out to be very good at that, and they assembled a team which included women in their government code and cipher school in Bletchley Park. One of the most decisive turning points in the war was when mathematician Al Turing broke the German Enigma code, which helped, and they had these coded signals that they used, and once you break a code, you can decode whatever transmissions are based on that code. This is possible because as the Germans advanced their radio and transmission technology, the British were also advancing their technology along with it, and that led to the creation of the first computer called the Colossus. Access to the German communications may have even shortened the war a couple of years. It was a vital instrument to victory. This intelligence, of course, had to be shared between allies like Great Britain and the United States. In 1941, the Atlantic Charter was drafted, which became the Brussels Agreement. In 1946, the UK-USA Agreement became the basis for all signals intelligence cooperation between those two countries. With the advent of the Cold War, the need for intelligence gathering intensified. Both countries developed more intelligence gathering agencies, and eventually we began using our intelligence apparatus to spy on ordinary citizens. In 1955, the UK-USA agreement was expanded to include Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and that became known as the Five Eyes. The first mention of the Five Eyes by Q is from March, and here is the post. One of the Anons noted that Australia is part of the Five Eyes, and Q said the Five Eyes is very important. It won't be around much longer. It's relevant, but it's not the focus at that time. That was in March. It is becoming much more the focus now. Paul wrote here, it seems unlikely he found this futuristic fictional article about how the Five Eyes died. And it just is a story where the writer goes to 2019 and talks about the death of the Five Eyes, which is a bit interesting because it talks about Robert Hannigan, who was the director of GCHQ, which is British Signals Intelligence. He resigned 3 days after Trump was inaugurated. And that was one of the big first signs that something was going wrong with British intelligence, when the director of GCHQ resigns 3 days after the president is inaugurated. Something is going on. So anyway, this article goes on to talk about the fictional death of the Five Eyes. In April, we learned from Q this is a drop, and I'll just read this to you. Q has said several times, reread about the Five Eyes. it has been used to avoid U.S. data collection laws. This is saying here, let me just take a few minutes and decode this. Regarding Obama, what is publicly known is that Obama used the Five Eyes data collection to help put together the Steele dossier to obtain FISA warrants that they used on Carter Page and Paul Manafort to plant them into the Trump campaign to spy on them. Right? What is not public is that the Five Eyes, UK, Australia, was targeting the president by pushing these Russian decoy meetings and inserting people into the campaign like Paul Manafort and Carter Page. Some of that's come out. More of it will come out. The meetings, like the meeting with Veselnitskaya in Trump Tower, with Jared Kushner, Don Jr., all those meetings with Russian people who were trying to sell them opposition research. Q has said all of that was a narrative that was being pushed with the help of the Five Eyes. Q goes on down here to say that Obama, Hillary, Loretta Lynch, Brennan Clapper, National Security, White House, Situation Room, Operation UK Australia assisted in setup. So all these organizations assisted in the setup of the Russian collusion narrative. Paul listed here, this is kind of interesting, the different agencies that are involved in the Five Eyes. Australia has, it looks like, 5 agencies that are involved: the Australian Secret Intelligence Service, Australian Signals Directorate, Australian Security Intelligence Organization, the Geospatial Intelligence Organization, and the Defense Intelligence Organization. Canada has 4: Canadian Forces Intelligence, Communications Security Establishment, Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and the Canadian Forces Intelligence Command. New Zealand has 3, United Kingdom has 4, and the U.S. has, looks like, 5. So you can see those there. Those are the different agencies in each country that participate in the Five Eyes. This is an interesting article. Did Obama use the Five Eyes intelligence agreement to get Britain to spy on Trump? Well, it turns out, it looks like they did. Actually, the Five Eyes has been used to spy on many different people over the course of time, but it has been getting worse. This is a quote from Judge Napolitano, who dropped a bombshell and was then given a time off of work. He was suspended from Fox News after he said this. 3 intelligence sources have informed Fox News that President Obama went outside the chain of command, didn't use the NSA or the CIA or the FBI, and he didn't use the DOJ. He used GCHQ. What the heck is GCHQ? It's the initials for the British spying agency. They have 24/7 access to the NSA database. So by simply having 2 people go to them and say, President Obama needs transcripts of conversations involving candidate Trump or conversations involving President-elect Trump, he's able to get it. And there's no American fingerprints on this, Napolitano said. When Napolitano dropped that bomb, it was pretty controversial, but the more we've learned, the more we're finding out that it's true. Edward Snowden said in this article from 2013 that the Five Eyes is a supranational intelligence organization that doesn't answer to the known laws of its own countries. Essentially, it's a way for politicians to circumvent their own surveillance laws. In this Q drop from May, Q said this, and this is has to do with New Zealand. Example, in brackets, Clinton Foundation. Post-election loss. So after the Clinton loss, the Clinton Foundation went out of business. They shuttered everything down, laid off people, no access, no control, and no donations, because they really couldn't offer anyone any services. But today, New Zealand, this was in May, began donating to the Clinton Foundation again. And other organizations and countries are also donating to the Clinton Foundation. Why? Are they selling secrets? Are they selling future access? Do they hope to regain and control and power? Or are they selling silence? Are they essentially bribing people to keep quiet about what they know? Read the below slowly and carefully. Talked about this in previous videos. Why do former dignitaries still hold security clearances? If a U.S. person holds a security clearance and they access a U.S. database, their activities are logged, flagged, and recorded. If a U.S. person is in New Zealand or any other country outside of the U.S., no logs, no flags, no records. They have a security clearance that authorizes them to take and view documents with no records being kept. Why do we allow former dignitaries security clearances? Welcome to the deep state. Future proves past. In this Q drop from June, this is about Rod Rosenstein. Rosenstein happened to be in Canada speaking at another meeting, and this is when he was asked about the letter. A DOJ official said Rosenstein was currently representing the U.S. in a brief, unrelated visit to a foreign nation, one of America's key intelligence partners, indicating he would plan on responding during the previously scheduled briefing on Thursday. Q said the statement should ring alarms, hint those responsible for spying in the Five Eyes were present at this meeting. Panic. Q. In early July, Q said again, reread the drops regarding the Five Eyes, which I do as often as I have an opportunity to. Because Q says, reread this stuff. I assume it's important. Q said it will be extremely important going forward. UK in brackets in bold is primary. Generally speaking, when someone or something is inside of brackets, it is often assumed to be kind of a kill box or a targeting square, as some people in the military call it. So UK is primary right now. Their events have taken a turn. FBI, DOJ, and State Department, Hussein, the White House, including the CIA and other people and bad actors, have been involved in sharing intelligence under the radar. What about Rod Rosenstein's deadline? And Q says, by the way, we have the server. The president's been tweeting out like crazy over the last month or two. Who has the server? Where's the server? Why didn't the FBI interrogate the server? And Q says, no, don't worry. We have the server. This is an article by Devin Nunes, who referred 10 Obama high-level officials for investigation by the House Judiciary and Oversight Task Force. Why? Well, it goes back to this. These people were passing intelligence around that they got through the Five Eyes. Here's a statement from the article. Normally, intelligence passed on from a member of the Five Eyes Alliance, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, and US, to another member comes through an official channel for intelligence sharing. However, Nunes, upon reviewing the document that formally launched the FBI's investigation into Trump, the Russia collusion, said there was no intelligence shared through that official channel, meaning that the intelligence was shared through unofficial means. That means these people that Nunes referred to House Oversight were likely sharing a lot of information through back channels, through the State Department, through the White House, trying to avoid official channels. And that means Spygate will probably become an increasingly hot topic as we come into the midterms. Oh, you can guarantee it. People want to know when there's going to be arrests. Well, they're coming. And of course, right now, the president is in the UK, hanging out with Theresa May, sitting in Winston Churchill's chair, and doing all kinds of amazing stuff, like telling Boris Johnson that he thinks he'd be a good prime minister someday. The president's making a big stir. If you remember correctly, the president actually had tentatively scheduled a meeting in the UK prior, and that meeting got canceled. And if I remember correctly, I think it was canceled because they had security concerns. If I had to guess why Q isn't posting right now, I would guess that Q is with the president, that Q is got his head on a swivel. The entire team is looking for people who are trying to harm the president, because there is a lot of opposition to what Trump is doing in the UK. UK intelligence knows that they are in the kill box. So we've got some big problems. Additionally, just to let you know, Q posted a while back about May being neutralized, that the Queen and the royalty are kind of running for shelter, that things are going to change in the UK bigly. That's why Trump is so bold in what he's doing over there right now. He's not afraid, because he knows that he's got the goods on them and there's really nothing they can do. And that was the Five Eyes thread by Paul Serran. So be encouraged, patriots. Keep us in prayer. Keep Q and the team in prayer. Keep the president in prayer. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing this on social media. That is all I have for you on this update. This is Praying Medic signing off. I will catch you on the next broadcast.